to the question time. So I'm going to go through questions here. There's a lot of questions. I'm going to try and get through as much of them. So let me see. Well, Carlos asked an interesting question. Do you basically need all four to have optimal setups in the terms of, I think he's referring to some of the other indicators? No, you don't, right? It's, the way, I think one of the reasons why traders fail so often is, well, there's a few reasons, but one of them is they get so focused on looking for one thing in the market, right? Now, I have different indicators because, there's so many different market conditions. Okay, there's not just one market condition all the time. Sometimes the market's trending, sometimes it's range bound, right? Or sometimes you have momentum picking up, sometimes momentum is drying out. Each different indicator serves a different purpose, okay, and it reads different things in the order flow. Before I started indicatorizing different aspects of order flow, I was kind of like all over the place, right? I had a core setup of about 4 trade setups in the order flow that I would look for, okay? And then over time, I started developing more, okay? And at the end of the day, if you're focused on one market, you can do it. It's easy if you're experienced at it. But now, the benefit that we have as traders nowadays, we're not on the floor. We're screen-based traders. Everybody is now. You're not limited to the markets you're looking at, right? You could be looking at crude oil, E-minis, mini Russell, Dow, Bunds, Ultra Bonds, all right? And not just on 30-second charts for each of them, or you could be looking at, E-minis on a 30-second chart. You could be looking at on a 2000 volume chart. You could be looking at a 1-minute chart as well. You could actually be trading the same market on sort of different time frames or chart types. So, do you need all 4 indicators, flows, drivers, flows? No, you don't, right? But, I have people that have a lot of these things, I say automated, right? And, they're using different indicators in their markets, right? Some of them are using one indicator on different types of charts, a 15-second chart, a 30-second chart, etc. So again, it's about finding what's your sweet spots. Anthony, yeah, I saw your email and get to that a little bit later. Yeah, this is being recorded. Can you show from 9 a.m.? I'm not sure which market, Edwards. Carlos. Carlos, I do offer training on indicators. I've posted a lot of videos on the different indicators over the time. Where's the point of entry on a long or short signal? Okay, so again, the trade, for example, okay, if you're using the trade entry signal, what that's going to do is, so you see this bar here in the middle, right? It's got the zone. This is the signal bar. So the low, it's a red bar, so I know it's bearish. 74.10. This will print, the trade entry signal will print when we get 2 ticks away from 410, right? So that would be 390, right? As soon as that prints, that's when you get short. Now, again, if you're using a tool like markers from the indicator store, this one, right? You can, I use markers plus markers copy to automate it, right? So I know that as soon as it gets in, right, as soon as it prints this, it executes the market order, okay? Again, you have to automate that using a third-party tool. I use markers. So I'm not necessarily worried about that. Now, again, it will keep me out of this trade. Now, if I'm not using the trade entry signal, there would be a blue triangle here giving me an entry signal. And if I were just to execute off that, manually or even automated, it's going to stop me out, right? But if I was, if I'm looking at a market that's slower, for example, let me change this to Bunds. Where's Bunds here? Okay, because Bunds is a market that moves slower, and problem is you can't use a 30-second chart on Bunds for this. Even a minute-based chart is going to be a little bit tricky. But what settings I got on this one? I forgot already. This is my Euro currency. This is the 5, so it's the pure setting, right? So if I were to turn off the trade entry signal, so what do I got? There's a 2-minute chart. Trade entry signal, right? It's just giving me the signal. Now I said, slower markets like Bunds or Ultra Bonds, is a market that I'm able to follow a little bit more closely. So how I would trade it, right? Okay, I got my short signal here, right? I know the low is coming in here. I have time to manually drop in a sell stop below the low here, right? One, I could just get in, but I like to let the market confirm to me sooner rather than later it's moving in that direction, right? I know I got a double bottom here. I'm selling into this double bottom, but if I'm getting that follow through order flow, I want to be taking that trade, right? Just as, up here. Okay, so I know this is the signal bar. I've got the triangle on the signal. But again, all I got to do is I just drop in my sell stop right here, a couple ticks below the low of this bar. Now, if I'm using, excuse me, the trade entry signal, all it does is it shifts over the signal to the next bar and will print as soon as it moves 2 ticks below the low of the signal bar, right, over the next 2 bars. So for example, yesterday, is anything? Or this is this morning, I think. Here was your signal bar, all right, trade entry signal. Okay, so the low is 61. Next bar 61, next bar 60. Was until the third bar that you traded 59, right? So if you're, that's why there's no signal there, right? There's no red triangle because it didn't move 2 ticks in the next 2 bars. If I were to change this, trade validity bars from 2 to 3, right? Now you're seeing it there, right? Or if I disable it, it will give me the signal right on the signal bar. All right, so I don't know if that helps you. Let's see, can I see ES 10 minutes? Well, yeah, I can show you a 10-minute chart, but again, after 10 minutes, you're really discounting the value of the order flow that you saw even 5 minutes prior. Okay, it's honestly, I think there's other ways to use order flow on a 10-minute chart rather than this tool. There's other things on other parts of order flow that I think are more conducive to a longer term, and I hate to call it 10 minutes a longer term chart, but a chart that's got a longer duration, because again, you're really trying to take advantage of what you're seeing in the order flow happening right now. So anyway, going to take a while for that chart to come up. RBS, have you looked at time of day for whether the signals are better or worse? Well, it's, I don't like to say, oh, you can't trade the night session or you can't trade, the evening session. I did find, I do find that with a lot of markets, you sort of keep, when volume starts slowing down, okay, for like crude, for bonds, after 2 o'clock Chicago time, even for gold. I mean, there's still moves like today, right? We had that nice late move in gold. But a lot of times those things sort of come out of the blue. Now, I obviously the U.S. session is the most active session, but the European session, is active in a lot of markets, right? Certain markets trade a lot during the Asian session. Aussie dollar trades a lot, obviously, during the Aussie hours, Japanese yen, um, even gold, right, is very active during the Asian sessions. Asia is a big gold trading center, right? And there's big moves to be had um, in those markets, right? And obviously, London is a good time to be trading many markets. So it's I don't like to necessarily close it off, certain times of the day. Um, the illiquid times, personally, I find a lot of markets, will slow down. I'm in Chicago area, the 11 until 1 o'clock time, 11 p.m. until 1 a.m. 1 a.m. is when, um, traders in Europe start coming in, because that's like what, 7 to 8 in the morning there. That's when things start to pick up again, because honestly, sometimes it's like watching paint dry, trading that 11 p.m. until 1 a.m. But there's other markets to trade, right? You don't have to necessarily trade every single market, on that time. What you'd want to do, I mean, buns, right? If you're trading during European hours, trade buns, right? If you're trading um, Asian hours, you can go to Jap Yen, you can go to um, Nikkei on Cymex, right? You can get quotes for that. It moves, it's got good movement. This is, it does break for lunch, but there's good movements to be had in these markets, right? But you got to understand the market that you're trading. I don't know if that answers your question, but I looked at time and day. Honestly, it's just one of those things where it really depends on what time specifically you're looking for, right? This is Nikkei 5, it's a 2-minute chart. Nikkei you can trade 1 minute very easy. Vadamas, do you have any suggestion on how to automate these signals? And also the back to this. Yeah, I use markers from the indicator store, Pablo. Um, we got we've had some collaboration in the past, and that's what I use. I don't get paid for promoting markers or anything like that. I recommend it because that's what I have. Okay. Now, Bloodhound, I have some users that are very adept at Bloodhound, and they tell me they've been able to use my indicators in Bloodhound for testing purposes. But I don't use Bloodhound. Those pullback, Dale, those pullback could be target signals and not reverse trade signals. Yeah, okay, because you got another question about ES. So let me find, where's my ES chart? So where was that? That was, go back to the 10-minute chart. So this is a 10-minute chart. Are there signals? Yeah. You sort of want to find your sweet spot in terms of settings. But again, it's one of those things where, this is the very minimum based setting here, right? 1, right? So again, it's one of those, do you want to use a 10-minute chart, because there's, again, things that happen early, you want to take advantage of it as quickly as possible. I mean, that's just me. All right, so I'll show you. So this is ES. He wants to see. Anyway, just really quick, right? Before I get into that, Dale, one of the ways that I use these zones, right? And again, I don't recommend this for everybody, but people ask me, Mike, why do you draw the zone out 5 price levels, right? Because generally I know if trade's not working out for me within 5 price levels, it's going to fail, period. I don't want to be in that trade. I don't want to be spinning around, back and forth around break even and sort of caught up. We all get caught up. Sometimes we feel like we're, it's like a bad trade is like a bad relationship, right? You want to get out of it, but you're afraid to get out of it, right? No one's going to love me again. But why I have these zones drawn out, 5 price levels, or 5 bars rather, right? You see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Generally, the way I use it sometimes, I don't program it into markers or anything like that, but if I'm trading manually and I see the market is like, if that market's been selling off, right? And okay, I got to buy, yeah, it's moving in my direction. And if it fails, right? If the market is trending, right? It's not a market I'm talking about going sideways, right? Market has to be trending, right? Here we sold off from, what is that, around the 85 level down to 60, more or less. Okay, I got a buy signal. Great. You know, we just sold off 20 points, 25 points. I got something bullish coming in. That's great. But if I get bullish and I buy and it just fails immediately, like within those 5 bars, and I could see that, well, you know, we just sold off 20 points. Maybe there's more to this move, right? And I'm willing to get short if it breaks that within 5 points or 5, this zone, basically 5 bars, right? Which it did on the 4th bar. Obviously, the 5th bar is still below it, right? That to me is a sign that don't fight the trend, right? I could still go in that direction and be okay. But again, I don't recommend that for everybody. You have to have fit into your trading plan. Control ES with the strongest filters compared to medium strength. Yeah, sure. Let's see if I could change this chart here to E-minis. Remove these two. I'll change this to ES. And move this one. Add another. Come on. There we go. ES, but I don't want 50 volume. I'll just keep it simple. 30 seconds for both of these. 30 seconds. Now you have to use tick replay for this. Some people, I don't like tick replay. Well, I'm sorry, but you got to use it. Panel, this will be panel 1. I'll make this one a new panel. Okay, and let's see, E-minis. Well, we'll just use the, where are we here? Flowsbounce. Disable that. I'll keep this one as, you know, the strongest, the pure sense. 050, same as input series. Okay. Then I'll add the other one on here. Whoops, wrong one. And this one I'll change to the weakest, or keep it at medium strength. You know, I don't know. For this purpose, I'll keep it at 3. And same as input series. No, I want it in panel 2. Okay. So let's see here. Give it a second. Sometimes, you know, adding these things takes those on 2 charts on one. Larry asked, how do triangles print when the bar closes? If you're using the trade entry signal, okay, there's 2 different ways to use it. Okay, one is if you're not using the trade entry signal, as soon as the conditions in the bar meet, it will print. Okay, and if conditions change, it'll disappear. When conditions reappear, it'll print again. But once the bar closes, that's it, right? It won't appear or disappear anymore. If you're using the trade entry signal, as soon as it appears on the next bar or 2, that's it, right? That's telling you conditions are met in the order flow, in the follow through order flow. Take the trade, period. Okay. And it won't reprint if conditions change, because conditions were already set in the signal bar, and the follow through order in the next bar or 2 appeared, and now the signal is printing. But again, if you're not using the trade entry signal, if you're just trading for the actual signals, then depending on your trading plan, then you're going to take the trade either immediately, or you're going to wait for the bar to close and the signal to either be there or not be there. Okay, so I hate to say it's confusing, but that's why I put the trade entry signal in there years ago on started putting them in on all my tools, because that's how I was trading. So for example, okay, so here's sort of getting back to the previous question. Okay, here's the top. That's the E-minis, bottom E-minis 30-second chart. So this is the pure setting, right? The strong signal. This is the setting at 3, which is kind of a mid setting. So I don't know if you can see in here. Okay, for example, there's the sell signal right down here on the bottom chart, and then there's a blue zone drawn out, but there's no blue triangle, right? Like here you have the blue triangle followed by the red triangle. So conditions were met here in this bar before the red triangle was met up here when we're trading at the swing high up here. That's why you got the signal here, right? And then you got the sell signal. The market sold off. You got the sell signal here. Conditions were forming for a buy signal. Now, if I was not using the trade entry signal, there would be a blue triangle here, right? And I would have gotten out of the short, but conditions were met, but there wasn't that follow through bullish order flow. That's why there's no signal there. And you can see the market sold off again, okay? So up here is the strong setting. Down here is the medium setting. It's not the weakest setting, but it's a medium setting. It's set to 3. So you can see in here, right, there's a buy signal down here, catch this move up. Over here you have the 2 signals side, both of them appeared. But on the stronger setting, you don't have the buy that happened lower, right? So this is a medium setting, right? If I were to add setting it at weaker, I see stopped out here. Could have got, this one would not have stopped you out because it stayed below. This is what I use. That's what I'm talking about, using the zones as my stop level, because I know that if this bar is bearish, okay, and I get the follow through order flow, right, coming in at 46, top of this bar is 46 3/4, right? My stop's up here at 47, just behind it. It could be 1 tick above, 2 ticks above. I'm risking getting short at 46. What is that? 46, 45 3/4. My stop up here at 47, right? And then it comes down here, it's trading 44.5. I get a bullish signal. Okay, I'm short from 46. Okay, I could cover it right here. Now I catch that move back up. Okay, this one obviously would have stopped you out here, right? And again, what I was talking about, 5 price levels, right? If it comes back up within 5 levels, right? Like here down, I don't know if you could see it. I should try and move this chart up a little bit here. But well, let me just go back over here. My E-mini 30-second, my big chart here. If I got it. Well, what's the settings on this one? Just so I can be consistent on the settings. 5. Well, I set it at 3. Just to sort of be consistent, because what time was that? 10:50. Okay. Adam asked about scaling in. Well, now that there's the micro contracts, it's great for scaling in for a lot of traders, because if you're just trading one lot, one lot of the E-minis, you can't scale in unless you're trading more. But rather than trading one lot of the normal E-minis, if you're using micros, you can start to scale in. Of course, you want to use a regular broker that's not charging you $5 or something for the trade. But you can do that right now with the micros, right? And obviously, um, you have that ability to do that. Um, Christopher asked about range-based charts. Does it work on range-based charts? Well, it does. I don't use range-based charts so much anymore, but I'll show you in a second. But this is what I was talking about, right? The zone is being drawn out. So if I'm short here, right, I got the signal, all right, and it comes right back up against me, right? I could get long here, right? But again, it's not for everybody, right? If I get long up here, comes down here, right? If I get short off this failed buy signal, it just sort of spins around before it goes back up. So again, it's not for everybody. It's not, I don't want to start telling people to stop and reverse on trades. You have to sort of work it into your style of trading, okay? And again, I would be taking it after certain types of price movements in the market. But again, that would be um, another conversation for another time. Can you use range-based charts? Well, of course you can. So here, let's just put on a range-based chart really quick. This is calculating. Steve, I didn't see your email. I'll have to check my spam folder. Sometimes emails go to spam, but I'll check it, Steve. Is this indicator only available for NinjaTrader 8? Yes, it is. It's not available for Sierra charts. And I don't know when my indicators will be available on Sierra charts, because right now I use NinjaTrader. Um, Part of the problem with Sierra charts is finding a programmer. I'm not a programmer, and my programmer for NinjaTrader is brilliant. He knows exactly what I want to do and how I want to do it. That is very easy for me now. I could tell him, give him the framework, and he can go down and he does it. And I don't really need to make many changes because we've been working together for 6 or 7 years. But with Sierra charts, it's a lot. It's hard to find a programmer that understands order flow. Okay, and the ones that do, um, I just have bad experiences with some programmers on Sierra charts. That's all. But I got to find someone that I trust and is going to do it correctly. Now, this is a range-based chart. Okay, so again, the setting is set to 3. If I were to set it to 5, I'd probably want to use, um, I don't know, the enhanced look back filter. Maybe set a minimum difference level of 2. I don't know how that's going to look, but the problem with sometimes with range-based charts is a market could pick up a head of steam and move very far very quickly, right? Because it's based on price movement. So, you could be looking at, you could be putting in 3 or 4 bars, and by the time you get in, the market's moves already happened, right? Especially if you're trading certain markets like Nasdaq or something, unless you're trading like 25 range bar, that you're able to take into account a lot of stuff, then you can do that. So again, this is a 8 range chart. You can sort of see the signals coming in here. I've set some filters on. Where's my cursor? You catch some moves up, some moves down. You get stopped out here, catch the move down, stopped out, catch a little move down, a little sideways activity. Back and forth. I don't know. Depends on the type of range-based chart you're using. You could, if you're, I don't know, who would use a 15 range chart on E-minis, but people do. I'm never surprised. Sometimes I get emails from people saying this is the type of chart I'm looking at, and at first I'd scratch my head and say why. But if it works for you, it works for you. Who am I to tell you to do something different if you're comfortable and you're successful, trading a certain chart type? You don't necessarily have to change that, right? But what I'm saying is add a tool to it. All right, so yeah, you have to put tick replay on for Flowsbounce. Okay, I just showed you an 8 range chart. Yes, only for NinjaTrader. How's it different from the Pulse? It's completely different. Pulse measures momentum in the markets, and power bars starts to delve into a bit into order flow. Okay, but this one deals more with order flow and volume profile. Sorry, power bars starts to delve a bit into volume profile, but this one's more focused on volume profile together with order flow. So here's a 15 range chart, right? Because now E-minis are, trained nicely. You only need to catch one trade today, right? Boom, it's up. Now, sometimes that's why I said I'm never amazed, never shocked now on the type of range-based charts people use, right? Again, this was yesterday, Fed day. There's some moves to be had on a 15 range chart. I would not use a 4 range chart on the E-minis anymore. It just moves too quickly for this particular indicator. There's other tools I would use for shorter range chart. Can you show E-minis on European Open? Yeah, sure. Like I said, the European session is active, right? There's good participation during the European session in the E-minis. The amount of volume that trades in the E-minis during the European session is better than some markets trade during the U.S. normal hours. So it's a good, it's a perfectly fine time of day to be trading. Carlos, you have to send me an email, Carlos. Yeah, Jared asked about where would you be placing your stop? Um, well, I've always believed in placing your stop, behind a level that the market's got to sort of work to get through, right? So if I have a signal bar, right, if I have order flow telling me one thing that's bullish or bearish, so for example, it's telling me something that's bullish and the market starts going up, if it gets through that bearish order flow, then that's my sign to be getting out of the trade. Now, of course, when you use something like, any sort of trade, ATM or whatever, you really have to put in, a level, like 10 ticks, 15 ticks, whatever. But I just simply adjust it, right? Because, the ATM will just go in and throw it in there for you. And then I just manually adjust it, right? There's no law that says you can't adjust your order once it goes in. All right, so let's see. This is the European Open here. Let's see what it says calculating. So it's sort of going through that part. James, I don't use Renko charts, and I don't like the Renko charts, the native NinjaTrader Renko charts that are on NinjaTrader. I just don't find them very useful. All right, so this is the European Open today with the pure setting. There was no signals there until later, right? Now, one of the problems, one of the things you have to keep in mind, right, with trading order flow is these bars there's not enough going through at this time, right? That's why there's no signals, right? You're only talking a bar that's 43.95 and a quarter, 95 and a half, so 2 ticks, right? It doesn't start analyzing the order flow until there's at least price movement, right? If you're getting bars that are 2 ticks, there's not going to be anything. It's not going to give you any signals, and it's programmed that way, right? There has to be some movements in the bar. So this is the strict setting or the pure setting, but the day before, right now you're seeing some price activity, right? There's a sell here, a buy and a sell, a buy here. This caught this move down. That's the European Open. Go back to the day before, the European Open. What was this 1 o'clock here? Sell, a buy here, but again, that's the strict setting. under different situations. Again, you can adjust it to a more of a mild setting, a 3, or even 2. 3 I'd sort of consider. There's no 2.5 setting. It's got to be 1, 2, or 3, 4, or 5. But if anywhere between 2 and 3 would sort of be the midpoint, depending on what your view is. But 2 would be a little bit weaker, 3 would be a little bit stronger. But again, going back to James' question, there's many different Renko charts out there. So it's I don't know which one is better, but uni Renko. Some people have sent me their uni Renko charts, and they look nice. But again, it depends on who it comes from. So like this is a setting of 3, right? So you're seeing there's more signals, right? Now you can have caught this move. Yeah, you get a little back and forth action here. You get stopped out, fine. Then you get the signal. Then you catch this move up to somewhere up in here, hopefully from 75, 76 up to 82. There's moves to be had during that time. Flows, what's the difference between Orderflow 3.0 versus Flowsbounce? There's a big difference. 3.0 is the footprint chart. Flowsbounce is not a footprint chart. Flowsbounce just analyzes order flow in one aspect. The footprint chart is this. Doesn't have Flowsbounce in it, but it's got all, it's the footprint chart basically, and the volume profile chart. We got all the delta information, volume profile, value areas of the bars, prominent points of controls, imbalances, et cetera, et cetera. It's completely different product. And it's when you buy Flowsbounce, you don't get the Orderflows 3.0 trader. What about creating a strategy for using these indicators? Yeah, if you're using a tool to do it, you can do that. I said I use markers. What about, let's see here, Raymond. Can you markers plus let you stop loss of the zone? Well, you'd have to adjust it. You'd have to adjust it. Does it work on stocks? Yeah, I don't. It does work on stocks. I don't trade stocks. I don't use stocks. I don't trade stocks. But again, when you're trading stocks, I don't, it's I don't know how to say. Yeah, I'm a futures guy, right? I'm from Chicago. I grew up in Chicago area, worked on the exchange floor. I'm not in New York. No, I was born in New York. I'm not a New York person, so to speak. But do I even have data for stocks? I'll see if anything comes up. But yeah, I mean, you can use it on stocks. What is this? Can you show the latest turn signals versus flow balance on 1 minute 20 range NQ chart? Okay, so here's Apple. Hey, yeah, sure. I'll throw up an NQ chart. Flows balance. Well, I'll use a look back filter, and yeah, I don't know. I'll just keep it at 1 and 1. I'll use a look back filter of 5. Again, I'm curious. The thing is with stocks, you personally, I find if you're going to look at stocks with order flow, you want to be sticking to the more active stocks. You want NQ? This is MNQ. What is NQ here? Just change it here real quick. Use Apple. Yeah, this is just a 1 minute chart. So there's signals, there. Depends on how you trade stocks. Again, this is a 1 minute chart. You could look at a 5 minute chart. You could do a lot of different things. Yeah, you could use 1 minute charts. I just show the charts that I like to use. Steve, okay, I'll check at it. I'll check your email. In California, open trade at midnight, trade for an hour, it's worth it. Yeah. Nikkei. Yeah, Nikkei is a great. Chris Brock. Chris, send me an email. You should have got the update emails for 2.0 to 3.0. We sent those out like a year ago, but sometimes people are busy doing their lives. So this is a 20 range chart. Again, this is the set to 3, set it to 5. Use a minimum difference level. I don't know, 2, because it's a bit wider chart, right? So it's a range. It's a 15. Sorry, it's a 20 range chart. So there's price movements that's occurring in here. Okay, maybe I should throw another look back. Well, thing is, right, if you're using the enhanced look back, you don't necessarily need to use the swing filter as well. You can, but for now, I'll just disable it. Okay, so anyway, let's see how it looks. Well, there's big, Flowsbounce, again, it's pulse, turns, power bars. They're all different parts of the order flow that's being read, right? And again, turns looks for more market generated support or resistance. Turns looks for market generated momentum, and power bars. I've got something coming out to complement power bars. Honestly, it's still in development. Been going back and forth with the programmer because I use a different programmer for power bars. Because power bars, is sort of the first indicator that's more into understanding value in the market. Power bars deals with value, the market moving through value. So this is a 20 range chart on the E-mini, on NQ. But again, it's not a chart that I normally look at. So I'm not familiar with sort of the price activity, right? And the reason I say that, I'm not trying to shy away from anything, but the reason I say that is because when you're looking at markets, right, you have to understand your markets. Do you want to have a strong setting or a weak setting? Is it if you're using especially a range-based chart, is it moving very quickly or not, right? Because I could look at a 4-range chart in wheat that moves quicker than a 4-range chart in 5 years, right? So there's different things you got to understand because that's going to adjust how you use the settings there. Okay, so last question here from Phil. What's your thought on optimization in NinjaTrader? Well, it's one of those things. You don't want to over optimize something, right, to the point of curve fitting, and that's not going to do you any good going forward. In the past, that's great, but you're not going to be trading the past. You sort of want to have a set of parameters that you can work around rather than having something, exactly, because it's one of these things, sometimes I see people, oh, I use a 38 bar moving average. Well, okay. Well, why don't you just use a 40? Well, no, 38 is the best. Well, it's because they tested every single one and found out, it's 1% better. But that's just based on historical data, right? I said the historical data is completely different than what you're looking at now, right? Even the order flow, I could show you charts from 5 years ago, the way the market is trading now, even though, order flow is still roughly the same, volume is greater, right? And that's going to change sort of different things that you're looking at, right? You got to, because when Obama was president, I would trade E-minis, a 10, sometimes the 10 handle range in the E-minis, overnight was very big. All right, sometimes you have 5-point ranges in the E-minis overnight in 2016, 2015. Trump came into office, you're having 20-point ranges overnight, right? So the markets change, right? And so if I go back and look for certain types of activity from a year ago, 2 years ago. What I'm looking at now is, slightly different. So when you talk about optimization, right, you don't want to optimize yourself out of a good trading plan, because people say, oh, discard this, discard that, discard that, where, 'cause sometimes, it's not, if you're searching for perfection, you'll never find it, right? And uh, again, I'm going to diverge here really quick, but there's, you know, I was just, I, my wife belongs to some of these online groups, people selling stuff online, and there's a woman complaining. She's got a great customer, keeps buying her stuff, but she never leaves 5-star reviews. She only leaves 4-star reviews. And she's, I can't handle this. This person keeps buying my stuff, but you're only leaving me 4 stars instead of 5 stars. And now she wants to get rid of that customer, even though the customer is very happy. But the woman that's selling it's like, no, I want perfection. I want 5 stars, or I don't want, it's like, why? You got a perfectly good customer that's buying your stuff and, on a regular basis, but just because she's not leaving you a 5-star review, that's searching for perfection is killer. That's a strange example, but when you're dealing with optimization, sometimes people try to look for perfection that they discard things that are not it's like false hope, right? You discard something that's perfectly fine, but instead of finding something that's giving you 100% returns, you find something that's only giving you 58% returns. Well, the 58% returns is still good, right? And you don't want to sort of knock yourself out of that arena by discarding it. I didn't find it's not optimized the way I like. And again, it sort of goes into the whole curve fitting thing, which is not really a good way to go, right? You want to have a set of parameters that you could apply that will work. Honestly, it's not going to work every single time. There's nothing works every single time, but it works often enough, right? That you're consistent, right? Because there's no holy grail in trading. The holy grail in trading is really consistency in trading. It's not about optimizing everything. All right, guys. Anyway, I don't want to keep you guys on too long. It's 6 o'clock. Oh my gosh, we've been on for 2 hours. So again, if you're interested in it, you guys all got the emails, but just go to flowsbounce.com to get started, right? That's the link. And I am hoping to get I gotta talk to Pablo. Maybe we can do something together. But I'm probably going to create a video because a few people have asked me about automating it with markers. In case you want to, know how to go about automating it. And hopefully this weekend, I'm probably going to get another video out. I'll just record it. I'm not going to do a live session on Flowsbounce as well. It'll be up on YouTube, and I'll be sending you guys, an email on it. Just sort of showing you more, because honestly, today's session went 2 hours, which is kind of long for a lot of people. There's still like 90 guys on here, which is great. But I really think this is a terrific tool that can help a lot of people, and I want to show you more ways that you can use it, et cetera, to get the most out of it. So thanks everybody, and again, have a great night, and get started, just go to flowsbounce.com, and I'll see you guys, on the inside. Bye-bye.